Welcome to the Movie Film Show. I'm Carl, and without any further ado, let's find out what's on this week's The Movie Film Show. So coming up on the show today, we're going to be taking a look at Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 2, giving my reaction to that. And following on from that, we're going to be taking a look at some of the biggest movie news of the week. We're taking a look at the trailer for Netflix's newest space movie. And then finally, we're going to take a look at the Suicide Squad. So we've got a lot to talk about today. So let's jump into it with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So last week on the Movie Film Show, I gave my reaction to the first episode, and let's say I was a little underwhelmed. With the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 2 is out. It had a little bit more meat on the bones than the first week. A little bit. I gotta say, overall, I'm still very disappointed with the show after just 2 episodes, and there's only 4 more to go. Initially, I thought it was a 10-episode thing. I was completely wrong. I should have looked at the marketing, because they've been saying all along it's a 6-part story. Now, this week definitely had more meat on the bones. They developed the new Captain America. But I gotta say, already, after just 1 episode of him being fully in the episode, I already hope he meets a gruesome ending by the end of the series. You know, he's just a terrible, terrible character. Maybe it's just one for the diehards, because I know there is a lot of Easter eggs in there related to the comics, and if you don't know the comics, you're probably going to miss a lot of this stuff. I don't know the comics too well, and I initially missed a lot of it, and through research afterwards, I found, oh, that's who that guy is. Oh, this is tying up to this other comic. Maybe you have to be more of a diehard Marvel fan to get some of the stuff in it. Maybe you'll get more out of the series then. But for me, just from like a story point of view, and just sitting down on a Friday looking for something to entertain me for a short while, it's awful. It's really boring. But then again, what should I expect? At the end of the day, this is a story about 2 side characters. That's what Falcon and Winter Soldier are. They're not good enough to have standalone movies, so you have to lump them together and throw them in a series. So in this episode, we had more development, as I say, of the new Captain America, but it didn't really develop him. They didn't show who he is or why he was selected as Captain America. They more told us. He did this section on Good Morning America, which took place at night for some reason, so it's more like Good Night America. He does this interview in a football stadium, like a high school football stadium. Through a lot of exposition there, they explain, oh, you've been in wars, you're a hero, and all this stuff. It's very lazy. In a film, it would be very lazy, so in a Marvel Cinematic show, it's still very lazy writing and very poor storytelling. They could have tacked on a couple of more episodes, maybe some flashbacks to show why he was selected as the new Captain America or who he is. Give him more backstory rather than just saying that you're really good, you did all this stuff in the past, remember? It's kind of lame. So we've had this new Captain America shoved down our throats, and you know, it's an interesting perspective because the new Captain America has the same thing that the new actor has, Wyatt Russell has, in that in the real world, everyone's gonna say, well, you're not as good as what we're used to. In the real world, people are going to be saying, well, Chris Evans is Captain America. And in the fictional world, they're all going, well, you're not the usual Captain America, you're not the real Captain America. So the actor and the character have a similar struggle there. I can't see many people liking the new Captain America, although clearly by the end they were setting up that he's going to be a villain. So that was one thing in the episode. We've got the new Captain America. We'll see where that goes. As I say, already I'm hoping he's going to be a gruesome ending and we just get rid of that character altogether. Then we've got the relationship between the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, and the Falcon went out and like bought a DJI drone at some point and painted it. That seems to be his character arc now. And the Winter Soldier is you know, reliving what he did in previous movies. But in this episode, they go to couples counseling. So if you missed it in the first episode, a quick recap of what's happened in Falcon and the Winter Soldier so far, the main points. The Falcon visited his sister, who has this boat that their father left them, and they're just about making ends meet, despite him being a government contractor and an Avenger, and he should have loads of money, but apparently Avengers don't get paid now. So Falcon and his sister apply for a bank loan, and the Falcon gets turned down for a bank loan. It was riveting stuff, it really was. But during the week, someone pointed out to me just where they might have got that story from.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Who knew? Ron Burgundy, ahead of his time. So episode 1, turned down for a bank loan. Episode 2, couples counseling. Awesome. You know, I'm skipping over a lot. They had the whole super soldier thing, the fight on top of the van, that was kind of cool. The weird thing in this movie is the shaky cam. I don't know why there's some extremely shaky cam footage in this. Not even when it's in action scenes, it's just randomly there and the camera's like bouncing up and down. That's extreme movement. The camera's just bouncing up and down. It's very distracting, and visually it's perhaps one of the worst Marvel things so far. You know, color-wise and everything's fantastic, and focus-wise and all that's fine. Just, it was weird, the shaky cam thing was very distracting for me all the way through. But you can see that they're starting to put the building blocks in for the story. We now have this group of bad guys that Falcon the Winter Soldier are going to have to fight off, the super soldiers, and then you've also got the side part with the new Captain America. So there is stuff to be resolved, but it's just overall a bit slow, and for me personally, a bit boring. But hopefully it'll get better. There's only 4 episodes to go, so there's a lot of story to cram in there, you know, unless they leave us on a cliffhanger for season 2, which they probably will. But I'd love to know your opinions on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Do you love the show? Am I missing something completely? Let me know in the comment section below. The interesting thing with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, whether you love it or you hate it, Disney announced that it was actually their most watched premiere of any show, including The Mandalorian or WandaVision. And it's just an example of how good The Mandalorian and WandaVision was, that people were willing to flock back to see the next Disney show, Marvel show. Ultimately, I think a lot of people will be disappointed, and I don't think episode 2 will get as many views, but I'm sure Disney will let us know during the week. Sticking with Marvel this week, Disney announced that The Black Widow has been postponed yet again. It's now been pushed back to July 9th. That's because they're hoping some cinemas will be open by then across the world, especially in the US. But they've also announced it's now going to be on Disney Plus through Premier Access, which they've done previously with Raya and the Last Dragon and Mulan. Cruella is also coming out on July 9th. It's weird that they're coming out on the same date, but they're both coming out through Premier Access on Disney Plus and in a few select cinemas across the world. The Black Widow is an interesting movie. I'm not sure whether I am excited for it or whether it's just going to be another cash grab in there, because, you know, Black Widow's had her ending. Black Widow's been a good character, but a standalone movie I don't know if I'm too excited for. Not because it's a female lead or anything. That's not an issue for me, never is. I just don't see how this film can be that exciting. It's set before Endgame. It'll be interesting to see David Harbour jump into this universe. He was great in Stranger Things, terrible in Hellboy. It's perhaps harsh on David Harbour to say he was terrible in Hellboy. He was just dealing with the hand he was dealt, which was a really bad hand, but we won't get into that movie. But yeah, I'm not too excited for The Black Widow, and maybe I'm just worn out of Marvel movies. There've been so many for so long, and I've watched every one of them and everything they've thrown out, and it's just coming so thick and fast. At the same time, I'm really looking forward to Loki, and it's not too far away. So I am still excited for some Marvel things, but maybe my low expectations will lead to me loving this movie. Who knows? Let me know if you're excited for The Black Widow. Or Cruella. Cruella's coming out as well. They also announced this week that various other films are being postponed, including Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds film, which I believe stars Jacksepticeye in some scene, and maybe some other YouTubers or streamers too. That movie certainly looks interesting, but maybe it's going to be hyped up too much now. Disney also announced that the next Pixar film, Luca, is actually going to be on Disney Plus, but not through Premier Access. Just like Soul, it's going to be available just on Disney Plus. But my thinking with that is, despite loving Disney and Pixar films, they're due a bad one at some point. Because, you know, the last few have been really good. So Luca might suck. At least that's what I'm telling myself, to lower my expectations and then love the movie afterwards. So Netflix have dropped a trailer for a brand new space movie, because, you know, their last one went really well. It wasn't one of the worst movies I saw last year, except it was. Of course, I mean The Midnight Sky, which I personally hated. A lot of people did as well, 26% in Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of people in the comment section on my review of that video also agreeing with me, but there is a certain section, a small subsection, that did really like that movie. It definitely split opinion, mostly towards the negative though. But Netflix are going at it again, this time with Stowaway, starring Toni, Collette and Anna Kendrick. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Did we take?
No, hey, sit down.
Did we take off?
Sit down or you're gonna pass out. Commander!
Take off.
Commander!
Take off.
Michael, I'm Zoe. I'm a doctor. I want you to focus on slowing down your breathing. In through your nose, out through your mouth.
Hi, Michael. I'm Marina Barnett, the commander of the ship. Do you remember what happened on the pad?
I'm a launch support engineer, ma'am. How long was I out?
We took off about 12 hours ago.
12 hours. I need to get back to my sister, please. My sister, she's alone. Please, I gotta get back.
We're not going back.
What do you mean we're not going back? This is a 2-year mission.
2 years is a long time to be away, but this is the opportunity of a lifetime.
I can learn fast.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We are taking the first steps to being able to call Mars a second home.
We're sorry that you missed the filet mignon, but this is the next best thing. We think it's spaghetti.
I should warn you now that Zoe thinks she's the in-flight entertainment.
There's no easy way to say this. Life support is damaged permanently. We only have enough oxygen aboard for 3 people.
Everyone on board will suffocate before we ever make it to Mars.
Hey, Ava, I gotta face the fact that I'm not gonna be there with you.
This research is years of our lives. Are we sure we want to throw it all away?
How much time do we have before it's too late?
20 days.
I think we should put ourselves at risk.
For their sanity, they need to try this.
This is hopeless.
That is
There's no way for all of us to survive.
It's imperative that we try.
Certainly an interesting one from Netflix right there. They seem to love their space stuff lately. April 22nd is when Stowaway hits Netflix. And I gotta say, I'm pretty excited for that one. It looks really good for what it is. The idea behind it of the Stowaway, you know, it might be a bit hard to believe. If NASA or SpaceX or whoever's launching the thing, you'd imagine they're going around doing extra checks, you know, to make sure everyone's accounted for beforehand. So you might have to suspend your disbelief a little bit with that part. But then again, mistakes happen everywhere. So a guy waking up on a ship who's not supposed to be there, and then he's stuck for 2 years, then they find out that life support can only support 3 of them. Looks like they've got a tough choice to make. My one hope was that they just don't drag it out and make it slow and boring and just overdo, like, hey, look, it's space type of stuff. It's kind of what they did with Midnight Sky, unnecessary space stuff for the sake of it, slow pacing. It was just overall boring, regardless of the story. The pacing in the movie ruins the entire thing. Hopefully that won't be the case with Stowaway, and I'm kind of looking forward to it, not gonna lie. But speaking of upcoming movies, out this week is Godzilla vs King Kong, or is it King Kong vs Godzilla? Which one did I get wrong last time? So Godzilla vs King Kong hits screens this week, 31st of March in the US, 1st of April everywhere else, I believe. But if you're not hyped for it, here's a little clip on what to expect.
Right now, Godzilla's out there and he's hurting people. We don't know why.
We need Kong.
The world needs him.
The movie looks like it's action-packed, and what I'm expecting from it is just a lot of fun. I don't think it's going to be an amazing story. I don't think it's going to be a Snyder Cut level of movie. I think the movie's going to be a lot of fun in the vein of like Pacific Rim, monsters beating the hell out of each other. Now, I have not seen the movie, I've only seen the trailer, but here's what I expect the story to be. So Godzilla turns up and starts destroying the place, so the army decide to get in King Kong. That's evident from the trailer. They go to Skull Island, they get Kong, they bring him back to save them from Godzilla. But the two of them end up fighting and causing more damage than Godzilla was doing initially. So some evil army guy is gonna come along and say, hey, let's make our own Godzilla. And that's where Mecha Godzilla comes in. Because it's pretty much all but confirmed that Mecha Godzilla is in this now. I haven't seen it, as I say, but I fully expect him to be in it. So Mecha Godzilla is then gonna take on Godzilla and King Kong, and hopefully we're gonna have a battle for the ages. If all that happens, this could be one hell of a movie. But who knows? They failed with Godzilla and King Kong many times at the box office, and this could be another failure. Gotta admit, I've yet to watch Godzilla King of the Monsters, but there's one good reason for this part in the trailer.
Oh my God, Zilla.
Oh my Godzilla. Says it all. In other movie news, it's been announced that Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is going to be re-released in cinemas in the US. I wish it was here, but it's going out in America with new visuals and new sound. That's going to be interesting, because for me personally, I love Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I think the visuals are fantastic and the sound is fantastic, so how they're going to improve it, I don't know. Dolby Atmos will certainly make it better, but I don't see why they have to change anything. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a fantastic movie, based on a comic book. It's the most comic booky movie I think Hollywood's ever made. Edgar Wright directed it, fantastic filmmaker, and it's got a star-studded cast, including a former Superman, Captain America, and Captain Marvel. So if for some reason, if you haven't seen Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and you live in the US and it's coming out into a theater near you, I can't recommend high enough to go see Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So apparently this week, Restore the Snyder Cut was tweeted over 1 million times. Wow, in 1 week, over 1 million times. Restore the Snyderverse it was, not Restore the Snyder Cut, they've already done that. Restore the Snyderverse. People really want to see more. And I said that last week in my review, I want to see more, especially the Dark Timeline. I want to see that movie. The head of Warner Bros. Come out and say, no way, but money talks. And if people get out there and demand this enough, this could happen. And studios never like to admit that they're wrong. That's why I was surprised the Snyder Cut was even released in the first place, because studios never admit that they're wrong. But the Snyder Cut kind of broke the mold, because while there has been director's cuts before, they've been like small DVD releases here and there. The Snyder Cut was a big publicity thing where they finally said, okay, we made this movie wrong, let's do it again, do it better, and get everyone hyped for this series. Because I think everyone who watched it, for the most part, loved it. I think the general agreement now is that there's hope for the DC universe where there was no hope before. DC could definitely take on Marvel with Zack Snyder at the helm. And as I said when I was talking about Black Widow earlier, I'm kind of tired of the Marvel stuff. DC looks like a darker universe, a more edgier universe, and I'm all for that. That looks awesome, and I want that. And if you want that too, get out there, let your voice be heard. Restore the Snyderverse. Speaking of DC, we've got to talk about the Suicide Squad. The new trailer just hit the world just a few days ago. Let's take a sneak peek.
You gotta be kidding me. You're gonna risk the entire mission for a mental defective dressed as a court jester.
This coming from a guy that wears a toilet seat on his head. We don't leave one of our own behind.
Hopefully Harley's still alive.
No funny business, Colonel. These are dangerous people.
Team 2 is clear to go.
Fire. 3, 2.
What are you guys doing?
What?
We're here to save you.
You were gonna save me?
It was a really good plan, too.
Well, I can go back inside and you can still do it.
That's patronizing.
I'm so sorry. Harley Quinn.
Blood sport.
The full trailer will be linked in the description below if you want to go check that out. Hopefully you'll wait till the end of the episode, watch the full video, and then go check it out. That'd be much appreciated. But it's certainly worth checking out. Now, I don't want to get too hyped for this one, because I did that with the original Suicide Squad. And ultimately, I was left disappointed, as I was with a lot of the initial DC films. But this one looks awesome. It's got a really good cast. We've got Margot Robbie back as Harley Quinn, and we've got the big shark guy, who's played by Sylvester Stallone. Seems like a perfect role for him. Not many lines, can't do much wrong. Kind of like Vin Diesel with Groot. Also, there's a part in the Red Band trailer that I'm not going to show on this. If you want to check out the Red Band trailer, as I said, link in the description. There's a part where a shark pulls a whole human apart. So that's the thing. Hopefully it's not one of those movies where all the best bits are in the trailer. As well as the trailer dropping this week, James Gunn also released a lot of character posters, including for Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie, Idris Elba, John Cena, and the Shark Guy. Is he called the Shark King? Something like that. So, the Suicide Squad, what do you think? Is it gonna be awesome? Is it gonna be terrible? Who knows? With all that stuff out of the way, let's take a look at what's coming up on the Movie Film Show this week. So with Godzilla vs. King Kong coming out this week, I felt it was only right to do a movie about the 1998 version of Godzilla. So a brand new version of the worst movie ever is coming this Wednesday about that movie, the 1998 version of Godzilla. And oh my Godzilla, it's terrible. You definitely want to check that out on Wednesday. And then on Friday, I'll be back with a review of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which has picked up Oscar nominations for both Viola Davis and the late great Chadwick Boseman. So if you want to hear my opinions on that movie, that will be out on Friday. And if you want to check out any of the trailers that were featured on today's show, they'll all be linked below, as well as a few of our previous episodes and other stuff on this channel. So if you got some spare time, certainly check out some other stuff on our channel. It'd be greatly appreciated as we try to grow this little YouTube channel all about movies and films. But with all that said and done, thank you so much for watching.